they can be divided into autotrophs, heterotrophs, and saprotrophs. As the name suggests, the autotrophs, they will make their own food, and because they are able to make their own food, they have the necessary machinery, like they are all having chlorophyll pigment in them, they are having chloroplast also. The heterotrophs, they are mostly animal-like protists, and the saprotrophs feeding on dead and decaying organic matter. And one more important thing about kingdom Protista, which is unicellular eukaryotic, is that the members of Protista are mostly aquatic. They may be freshwater or marine, but they are mostly aquatic. Now the autotrophs, they are those making their own food. They can further be divided into chrysophytes. They are further divided into chrysophytes, the dinoflagellates, and euglenoids. These three groups, the chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, and euglenoids, they are responsible for the majority of oxygen that is fixed. The oxygen that is fixed because they all will be performing photosynthesis because of the presence of chlorophyll pigment and those pigment present in the chloroplast. All of them. So the majority of oxygen of Earth is fixed by these autotrophs, the photosynthetic autotrophs of the kingdom Protista. They are autotrophs. We can also say they are photosynthetic protists. They can also be called photosynthetic protists. Now we'll study them one by one. First, coming to chrysophytes. Chrysophytes. Another name for chrysophytes is brown algae. Brown algae, or we can also call them desmids. These are the other name for chrysophytes. The main property of chrysophytes is that they are found passively floating on the surface of water. They are marine, and because in the sea water they are found passively floating, they are also called plankton. The name given to these passively floating marine chrysophytes, it is also referred to as plankton. And regarding the structure, if you see of these planktons or these desmids and diatoms, is in their structure, the cell wall, if you see, it is like a soap dish. Like in the dish of soap, you place a soap here and then you close it with this lid. The structure is like this, like a soap dish, and overlapping. And here another thing what is peculiar is that in the cell wall you will find silica, cell wall of silica. The silica is embedded inside the cell wall. This is silica. Here it is embedded like this. So this silica embedded like this, and silica is indestructible. So when this diatom, they die, when they die, the protoplasm will disintegrate. The protoplasm inside them will disintegrate and this cell wall will remain. Then, so this process happening over many years, like this diatom has a wall of silica. This first generation has left this layer. Then over this, the second generation of diatoms, then the third generation, then the fourth generation, and so on for consecutive generations. When the silica is getting deposited, because it is indestructible on the seabed, so this leads to the formation of diatomaceous earth on the surface of seabed. So the property of chrysophytes is that you will find diatomaceous earth left behind by the members of this family, the chrysophytes. Now this, because of silica is indestructible, it can be put to use. Now what is the uses? Because it is very gritty. Silica is indestructible, so this earth, this is very gritty if you touch it. So because it is gritty, it is used for polishing, for cleaning and polishing surfaces, various objects. Polishing, it is also used for filtering the oil. This is the use of this diatomaceous earth. So the members of chrysophytes, they are plankton. This is an important, they are known as plankton, very important. They are marine, cell wall of silica, an important point, and silica living behind diatomaceous earth. So, and these chrysophytes, they are the main producers of the sea. These organisms, they are the chief producers. Means the producers are the first organisms of the food chain. If you remember the food chain, the producers, they are the main producers of in the sea. So this was about the chrysophytes. Next we come to dinoflagellates. The dinoflagellates. These dinoflagellates, these are this group comes from the Pyrophyta. Pyrophyta. This is a class. From the class Pyrophyta, the dinoflagellates have come. Pyro means fire, so they are also called the fire algae. And you see in the name the word di. So di means two. So fire algae having two flagella. Flagellates, from the flagellates you can easily guess the flagella. So they are the fire algae having two flagella, and because you see fire, what color is fire? Fire is mainly red in color. So they are red in color. So this is the main thing that you have to remember about the dinoflagellates. they have arisen from the class Pyrophyta, having two flagella, red in color, and the scales, if you see their body, the scales are placed in this manner. So this was the first point, and this cell wall, the covering of the body, this is cellulosic cell wall, and this cell wall is arranged in the form of plates in this manner, and because of this manner you can see there are two grooves running in it. So one groove is this, one groove, and another groove is this, two grooves. So it has two grooves. So these two flagella, they are arranged in these two grooves, and because of this location, because of the structure of this wall, the external covering, the flagella are at right angles to each other. The flagella are at right angles, obviously because of the structure of this cell wall, the external covering. One flagella is long. Long means this one longitudinal flagella. This first flagella, one is longitudinal flagella. This helps in swimming. This helps the dinoflagellate to swim in the sea. They are also marine, found in the sea. And the other, this transverse flagella. How it is arranged is that it goes from this groove, it circles towards the other end, and then comes from back from here. So it has encircled the body of the dinoflagellate. So this is a transverse and this is a longitudinal. One flagella is long, other is wrapped transversely. Now when the dinoflagellate have to move, they are obviously swimming with the help of this one flagella. Now the transverse flagella, it keeps on creating a sort of a whirl. So this is also known as the whip whirl movement. Whip whirl movement, because it keeps on rotating the body and creating a sort of a whirling movement in the dinoflagellate. Just like you imagine a top you will cover it on the top with a thread, and you release the top, it rotates. So same way the dinoflagellates, they exhibit this whip whirl movement. So they are also called whirling whips. This is another name for dinoflagellates. They are called the whirling whips. And these another property is of them is they are bioluminescent. They have, because of protein luciferin in their bodies. This protein luciferin, it absorbs the light during the day, and at night it shines. That absorbed light shows bioluminescence. Bioluminescence, or you can say phosphorescence. So the dinoflagellates, they are bioluminescent. They are called whirling whips. They have two flagella. They are also called fire algae, or they are red in color. And these, another thing very peculiar in dinoflagellates is that their power of reproduction. If you see their power of reproduction, It is very fast. In the sea, wherever the dinoflagellates are present, they will divide at an amazing rate, and soon they will cover the whole sea. The dinoflagellates multiply rapidly, covering the surface of sea. This is seen as red tides on the surface of sea. At night it shines with for bioluminescence, and in the day you will see the red tides. These red tides are toxic to other marine animals. Now, one example of dinoflagellate exhibiting all these is Gonaulex. Gonaulex. Very, very important. You can mark it, very important. This example of Gonaulex is so. This was about the dinoflagellate. Next, we come to the next group, Euglenophyta. The Euglenophyta. Now, if you see the structure of Euglenophyta, it is like a leaf. The structure is like that of a leaf. It has two flagella. One is the long and another one is the short one. And the cell wall is not made up of, cell wall is absent. So here's a big difference. Chrysophytes, their cell wall of silica, dinoflagellates, cellulosic cell wall, and here the cell wall is absent, and the outer structure is called a pellicle. It is pellicle is flexible. This outer structure is outer surface is known as the pellicle, which is flexible. And another property of Euglenophyta is that they are also autotrophic, like that of chrysophytes and dinoflagellates, and they are also heterotrophic. So they are autotrophic. They have the necessary pigments, the chlorophyll, the chloroplast. But when light is not present, when they are exposed to darkness, then they can turn heterotrophic. They can digest the food material from outside also. Now the Euglenophyta, if you see, by the absence of cell wall, presence of chloroplast, they have both plant and animal characteristics. Because of these two characteristics, they are called the connecting link between plants and animals. So the Euglenophyta are the connecting link. Why? Because they resemble plants in having chloroplast. They have chlorophyll, and chloroplast perform photosynthesis. And animals, because they can show heterotrophic nourishment and no cell wall. So they have characteristics of both. Now you can see that they have two flagella here. The longer flagella is used for the swimming, and this shorter flagella, it helps it in capturing the food. This short flagella it keeps on moving around in a whirl. So it creates a whirlpool, the small flagella. And when the whirlpool is created, the water will enter inside the gullet. So this is the gullet. Water will enter carrying with it the food material, the insects, and which are easily absorbed through the surface, through the gullet. They are taken inside through the gullet. So this small flagella, this small one, it helps it in obtaining the food. So this was regarding the three members of the Protista, the chrysophytes, dinoflagellates and euglenophyta, all of them autotrophic and photosynthetic. Next class we'll study about the heterotrophs and saprophytes. We are going to understand what we mean by living. In the NCERT textbooks, chapter 1, biodiversity in the living organisms, the first topic that we come across is living. So we try to understand what exactly defines